Welcome back to NSA Bulls Podcast with Nick and Sean. And it's another episode, another trip around the NBA and what is going on in Bulls Nation.
6 straight losses for the Chicago Bulls now. They are currently in the 11th seed, fresh off the Milwaukee loss. Milwaukee on the opposite side of the tracks are 12th straight wins for them. We saw a little bit of Giannis playing tonight, and then he left the game early. Thought that was our chance to actually get the victory. Unfortunately, didn't come our way because Brook Lopez cooked us pretty well. Had over 30. I think he had 33 points for the game. That was a season high for him. So ultimately, Bulls still couldn't come out with the victory. There was some bright spots with our rookie and Dalen Terry.
Okay.
He's been playing pretty well with the minutes he's been given the last couple nights. And obviously, we've been dealing with some injuries. DeRozan's been out with a hip injury. And it just hasn't been what you would expect for this Bulls team to finish off the first half of the season. If I had to grade this first half of the season, it's been probably a D, to be quite honest with you, in terms of expectation and the talent they have and the low IQ moments that we've had as a team and as a collective and individually speaking as well. But, hopefully for the second half of the season, we could, climb our way back up and get into that play-in position. It's very possible, but it's looking real dark right now in terms of how the Bulls are playing right now.
Do you think they'll be able to bounce back and get it going?
It's tough to say. I mean, on paper, we got the talent, but we don't have the mindset. And I just feel like certain guys are getting too many minutes. One in particular, love the guy, but Alex Caruso. Caruso has been in and out the lineup. He was not playing in tonight's game against Milwaukee. But, and that's actually another reason why I say that, too. I feel like the minutes that he gets, not to just pinpoint and criticize him, but the minutes that he gets isn't conducive on paper for what he produces. He'll come out of games with 30 minutes of play, 5 points, two assists, 3 rebounds. And obviously, you can't measure a player like him strictly on just stats. But him not being able to give us something more offensively, as I said before, definitely doesn't help us. Now, I've had conversations with people that say, well, the plus minus, in terms of his efficiency while the team is on, like while he's playing, helps the team. And I believe in that. That does help. But I also feel like they're running 4-on-5 out there when he doesn't try to make himself offensively available. And our team is just without good shooting, good perimeter shooting. And, every game presents a different reason why we couldn't win the game. And we've blown a lot of leads. So Indiana game was also frustrating prior to the Milwaukee game. That game, we came out with a 25-point lead in the first quarter. That's probably the biggest lead we've had in probably 25 years or so, if I'm not mistaken, as far as Bulls, Bulls franchise history. So that's one of the biggest leads, if not the biggest lead we've had in modern history coming out of a first quarter, and we still lost the game. So we were up 39-14 at the end of the first quarter against Indiana, and that's the second biggest blown lead. I think it's tied for the second, actually, biggest blown lead of the season throughout all teams. But for our ball club, I believe we've blown about 3 or 4 leads, not to that high level, but just in general in recent games. But I think we got about 8 total blown games, with just double digit games. Just imagine if we would have just converted on a lot of those games, the way we'd be looking in the playoff bracket would be completely different. So it's just been rough, man. Rough watching this Bulls team, rough watching them not be able to keep on the leads. And, everybody's out there that's talented, but it's just no excuse for why they, not only lose the leads they get and then lose the game. It's one thing to just leads get cut all the time, runs happen, the game is full of runs. But ultimately, they can't come out with the victory, and that's what happened in Indiana. And then this is also coming off the fact that they lost to Indiana pretty shamefully, probably a couple weeks back. And Indiana was playing without Tyler Halliburton. So currently right now, we only hold about a half game lead over Indiana, even though Indiana got the best of us twice. And Milwaukee just beat us just recently, and this is Milwaukee. Ironically, this is their first time beating us this season. But yeah, Giannis, he left the game early, but Milwaukee still took care of business and took care of us as in Chicago.
So it's safe to say that we're like top 3 for disappointing seasons, NBA seasons this year, right?
Oh yeah, no question. I mean, it's just a lot of gaps going on, a lot of issues with our team, and the injuries aren't helping it either. As I said earlier, I mean, the hip injury with DeRozan, I didn't see him playing as himself even before he was listed out today. The previous couple games that we did see that we watched, he didn't look like himself. He's coming out of the games with 16 points, 18 points, and, you just know that he's capable of 24 to 29. Sometimes, a lot of times he's able to get into that 30-point range. So he just didn't look like himself as aggressive as he's known to be. And then in today's game, too, Zach, he had 18 points. Not necessarily the game that you need him to have with us being shorthanded. That game, we probably would have needed a little more production from him in order for us to come out with that game. Javon Carter, he killed us for 22 on Milwaukee. Vucevic, he had 22 and 16 tonight. So he put up another double-double. So he was probably the most impressive player for us, but ultimately couldn't get the game, couldn't get the victory.
Yeah.
And that's how we finished off the first half of the season as we go on the All-Star break. So just it's a lot that we have to make up when the second half of the season kicks in play.
So when I look at those 3 top teams for disappointing seasons, I think of the Los Angeles Lakers. I think of the Chicago Bulls. And I also think about the Portland Trail Blazers. What you think about that?
I can't argue with that. I can't argue that. Looking at the landscape of both conferences, I would say that I'll probably put the Bulls first, though.
Really?
Even though Lakers have superstars and we don't as a Bulls team.
That's why I put them first.
And I get that part. But I don't know how to put it. I wasn't expecting the Bulls to be a finals team, but I was expecting it to not have, so much struggle with just getting a playoff berth.
Yeah.
So I thought it would be more so Bulls be in the 5th seed,
Yeah.
6th seed, staying out the play-in. That will be the ideal situation coming off last season. But, maybe I'm just in the moment right now. I'm just kind of like, man, really, really disappointed with this Bulls team and how they're playing. But, yeah, 6 straight losses now. 6 straight losses. They are in the dark right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Do you think they'll be able to get to 500 before the season is over?
It's tough to say. Because, we're looking at a team that just don't know what motivates them. Every game they look like they just, don't have that initiative to want to win. Or, I shouldn't go to that. I shouldn't say that. I think everybody on that roster wants to win, but it just how it comes off at times just looks like they don't have that second or third gear. I also feel like they go through the motions with their offensive sets. They run the plays like they in practice. They don't improvise. I said that before. They don't come off and say, you know what, let me just get a defense a little different look, than what they are expecting. They don't do that. Yeah. They just kind of just run things and, the same way. Yeah. The same way, the same sets. And it's like they telegraph a lot of things, too. They make things really obvious how they play. And that's another problem. They just kind of go through the motions a lot. So, yeah, so they've dug themselves a hole. It's a hole right now that they're in, and it's going to be tough for them to get out. Even teams that have made some acquisitions like the Nets, they still got some good pieces like Mikal Bridges. He just went for 45 points. So, they don't have superstars anymore either, but
they still play hard.
They're going to play hard, exactly. They're going to play hard. And I just feel like all around with this team, this Bulls team, everybody is underperforming to their expectation. The coach is underperforming. The players are underperforming. It's just all the way around.
So the question is, who needs to be cut?
Who needs to be cut? That's a good question. Honestly, you looking at the Bulls roster, we got some injuries. I haven't seen much of Malcolm Hill out there. I haven't seen much of Tony Bradley out there either. But who needs to be cut?
Or who needs to be traded?
Who's tradable for us to get what we need? We need a point guard. We need a solid point guard, and even though Lonzo's supposed to be that guy, we don't know his timetable. Goran Dragic has not been
consistent.
Yeah, he hasn't been consistent for us, and I know he's an older player, but he hasn't been what we would have expected. Expected a guy like him to be able to space the floor more, knock down open jump shots. Haven't seen him do much of that. He might be playing out of position though too. Even though he can handle the basketball, he's not a natural point guard. He can handle the ball, but he's inserted in the lineup to be a point guard because we are void of one.
Yeah.
So him and Io, they would trade off on the whole point guard role, and Io's a slasher. But he's not a guy that can play make for others. Mm-hmm. He's a slasher. He's a off the ball kind of guy, and we got a bad mix because we don't have a point guard. That's why.
So Lonzo Ball remains with no time to come back. Like there's no return date for him.
And excluding myself as a fan, I don't like that. I feel like every injury needs a timetable. And if there's no timetable, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? Like, how hurt are you? What are the specifics? Mm-hmm. Everything just seems very, unclear. Unclear of like, what's the next steps? Everybody. I mean, there's a plethora of players that have been hurt and injured, but they'll always tell you like, hey, this is where this player's at. We're looking at a 6 to 8 month time frame. We're looking at a 5 to 6 month time frame. The player tore his ACL. The player tore his meniscus. You have more clarity of like what the injury is, what's the therapy. I mean, there's a lot of things that are not the public's business, but he's just out, and you get a little information here and there, but you don't get full transparency. What is the issue specifically? Why is it taking so long? And then what I don't understand is there's not enough interviews asking that question. Mm-hmm. Like even the Billy Donovan, you expect Lonzo not to answer him because, he's experiencing whatever that is. But it's like they're saying that it's his, he can't walk on his knee, or his knee issues, whatever. But we still don't know specifics of what the problem is. But if the information is no timetable, he's already been gone for over a year.
He played 35 games last year.
Right.
He has not played this entire year.
Nope. Yeah, so I don't know what the Bulls could do at this point. It's really tough.
I mean, the most games Lonzo Ball has played in his career was 2019 with the Pelicans, and that was 63 games.
Yeah, so
this is starting to be a pattern that he's missing time.
Yeah, it's too much time. Too much time for an unclear injury. Don't know. I mean, I see him every now and then, like on the sideline in street clothes, just walking around right there. Mm-hmm. And like I said, like if you able to walk on your own, and I know it's different than playing basketball, but people need to be able to know like what is keeping you from putting that jersey on. Mm-hmm. That what's going on, like specifically. Because if you could walk around now, if it was a case where, he can't walk without support, then it's clear, like, okay, there's a problem. But it leaves too much out in the open
because it's not talked about.
It's not talked about. It's not talked about enough. This is a point guard that really, really ignites our offense that we really need at this moment, and he's been gone for a really long time. So
all year.
Yeah, it's one thing if
and
he just
last year.
Exactly. It's one thing if he was just gone for a couple months. He's been gone for over a year.
So maybe we should drop him. And
that's I can't knock that if we go that route.
Direction.
Yeah, I can't even knock
it. Now, what about Russell Westbrook? What if we get him?
If we get him, then that helps our offense. I mean, he can provide a lot of the same things that Lonzo can provide. He's not the shooter that Lonzo can be, though. Or is, I'm sorry.
You expect Westbrook to be starting, right?
Yeah. I mean, we need a guy like him at the point guard position right at this moment.
Yeah.
You know, put people back in their rightful places.
Yeah.
Because Zach LaVine is not that. DeMar, he holds the ball too long. And even though we still need him to be DeMar, we need him to be off that basketball so he could, like, do cuts. He can get open a lot easier. And the defense isn't centralized and focusing on him as he's walking the ball up the court.
So are you expecting the Bulls to pick up Russell?
I'm a little shocked if they do it.
Why would you
But
be
not
shocked?
in a negative way. Not in a negative way. Because I'm hearing about him, like, doing a buyout and looking to see, like, who will sign him, basically. But I think the Bulls should, pursue that. Pursue it aggressively. I mean, we have no idea what's going on with Lonzo. And even though we hoping for the best, it's not looking like it. It's looking like, he could be gone next season doing the same thing. And it's like, this is only going to infuriate Bulls fans. Like, only going to get us more frustrated. Like, why are you still out? Because I think people already gotten to that point.
Yeah.
The lack of success that the Bulls are having right now, it just leaves everybody looking like, okay, who's to blame for all of this?
Yeah.
But I feel like it's a collective issue with everybody on the team, roster, GMs, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So who do you want to see go first? The coach.
Yeah. I initially didn't think that he was the issue, but I'm starting to believe he is the issue. He's the baseline of it. I mean, we criticize Zach, and Zach is definitely not the kind of guy you could build your team around.
Yeah.
He's still a talent, but I feel like a guy like Zach needs a coach that is a disciplinarian. A guy like Zach, a guy like a lot of these players that's getting all this money in the league now. I mean, it's just different now. But a lot of people in general would really benefit off of a disciplinarian type of coach. But it's having that divine line, like, Billy Donovan sometimes just seems too passive, even though he could be very, very upset. You're not in the locker room, so it's hard to decipher. But from a fan standpoint, it feels like he's not getting through to his team.
Yeah.
And he also has some very questionable decision making that he's done. But I could tell he gets frustrated. I mean, in the Indiana game, he was just basically saying, like, we got to know our personnel, like basically what Stacey King always says on the broadcast, right? And in the process of him saying that, he was just like, we can't leave, top shooters that Indiana has off of screens, wide open like Buddy Hield. And, leave Buddy Hield open and go guard somebody else that's not Buddy Hield.
Right.
So for the record, Buddy Hield also passed Reggie Miller playing us in terms of most threes made by Indiana Pacer in NBA history for a season. So he just passed Reggie Miller for a season for the most. Not all time, because obviously Reggie is obviously higher than that. But just for that season, for Reggie, he passed Reggie Miller in terms of like for a full season. So that's a huge feat, in today's 3-point league. Ultimately, the Bulls, they just, they just lack in just paying attention to detail, little nuanced things that can help you win or lose that game, and just mitigating turnovers. Now, in the Indiana game, turnovers wasn't much of their issue in the fourth quarter. They actually had like 2 turnovers, but ultimately, they just can't. They allow leads to slip through, evaporate, and they don't know how to hold on to things and stay with the game plan. So it's really tough for right now being a Bulls fan.
It seems like moving on with a different coach would be a good starting point for the Bulls. So, what type of coach or who would you see that would be a good fit?
It's hard to feel of who for me. I mean, everybody that I would name is not available. But I just feel like the type of coach we would need to have is a disciplinarian, somebody who can, set a standard that this is how we're going to play. This is our identity. This is what we're trying to accomplish. These are our goals.
Which is what will be some of the accomplishments we should be going for and goals we should be.
What will be the accomplishments that we would need?
Yeah.
I mean, we have to set a standard. I mean, for the kind of talent that we have. I mean, we're not a team that don't have a lot of talent. You know, we just trying to go through the draft. I mean, we're not a championship level team, but we sure as hell should be a surefire playoff team. And
given the talent.
Yeah. So I just feel like we need to set up a standard where, every year we're getting better. Like every year, if we're going to be a first round last year, we got to try to shoot for that second round. It has to be that next step up. As I know it's easier said than done, but it has to be expectations. And, individually, we have to make our top guys, our talented, our top tier guys, keep that level of up. And it trickles down to the rest of the team.
Yeah.
The IOs, they follow it. Everybody follows it. And we just got to really find a way to, see if we can pull up Zach more, even though a lot of that should be on him. I also feel like we need a coach that actually, is on him, because I feel like I don't think he's ever had a coach like that throughout his professional career. I feel like he's had a lot of, pretty bad coaches. I mean, Billy Donovan's not a bad coach, but average or pretty bad coaches. He hasn't had a coach that really would demand excellence from him.
Yeah.
And, put a lot of pressure on him to be what he is capable of doing. So, some other ways we would need a smaller version of a Tom Thibodeau, basically. Need a guy like that. Even though Tom Thibodeau, I don't agree with some of his questionable plays that he made, in New York, but ultimately, he has that kind of attitude where he would demand you to play at a certain level if you already know you got the talent.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's what the Bulls need.
So, is it common, or does it happen that coaches can get fired in the middle of the season?
That happens, but the Bulls are not. Well, I shouldn't say that. The Bulls have done it before historically, but that ain't gonna be this situation.
Why not?
No, because they just signed Billy Donovan back. They just signed Billy Donovan to a contract extension before the season even started.
Oh, for this year?
Yeah. Yeah. So that's not going to happen. So Billy will be our coach for the foreseeable future. But
for at least the end of this year and more?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah. Yeah, he's going to be our coach for next season and probably the next couple years after that. It ain't just Billy's fault.
Yeah.
But it starts with him.
Yeah.
And it's unacceptable how we've been playing.
Something has to change, though, right?
Something
should be shaken up right now, or I want to see things change right now. Of course,
well, it ain't gonna happen because it's past the trade deadline. Yeah. It ain't gonna happen. This is the roster that we're gonna have for the rest of the season.
Yeah,
it ain't gonna happen. If it was gonna happen, we're one of the very few teams in the NBA who didn't make any trades throughout.
So it was a big mistake not making any trades. Big mistake.
What you think about it?
I think it was a big mistake.
Yeah.
Big
but who
mistake.
would you have traded, though? Who would you have traded?
Could have traded Zach LaVine.
For who?
For whatever.
Wouldn't say for whatever.
For whatever's available. That makes sense. I don't know.
I'm all for trading Zach LaVine, but I got to get some good assets back.
Yeah.
Some immediate assets. I'm not talking assets where it's going to take us 2 or 3 years for them to actually develop. And, no, we need something back immediate.
I think we could have got some good pieces. Whatever the market was. We probably could have got some shooters. Surround DeRozan with some shooters. And then we can focus more on Vooch. It can be a little Vooch and DeMar thing going on. And just have shooters around. We could have gave up Caruso. We could have gave up LaVine and Caruso.
Well, the Bulls are saying for Caruso that he's almost untradeable. I don't know why. They put a lot of value in him, and I'm okay with his effort and energy, and I would never take that for granted. But I believe his minutes need to be reduced. His minutes need to be between 18 to 20. He cannot be playing 30 minutes because he's not efficient enough for that. Plus, if you look at his history being in the NBA, he's never played those kind of minutes. Now he's on a team where he's like required to play those kind of minutes, and he's not holding up. He get injured a lot. I mean, he comes out, he'll be gone for 4 or 5 games, come back, play 1 or 2 just to be gone the next 2 or 3.
He needs to be on a team that's already developed, a team that's already, can make a good deep playoff run. A team that just needs a couple more pieces to fill in some voids. Like, I could see him going to the Suns. Obviously, like, even Clippers or, a team that's already kind of up there, Dallas Mavericks. But a team just to be kind of getting their feet wet into the playoffs like the Chicago Bulls, I don't think he's a good fit for that.
I think we put too much we allow him too much.
I think it could have been a good fit if our team was playing better, if DeMar and Zach LaVine especially were playing better, then I can maybe ease up some things needed from Caruso. But it's just a bad situation for him in Chicago.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't. You know what? Let me take that back. I wouldn't say it's bad. I just think it's just certain parts where it's a little disappointing.
Yeah, and I mean, but we're really disappointed because he's not able to really provide that offense because he's not really used to doing it.
No, he's not. But it's just it's just the fact that I feel like Billy Donovan overplays him too much for his production level. And here's the thing: I believe Billy should play Caruso more so in the last 4 or 5 minutes stretches of games, right? And also like towards the end of quarters. So he can come out the game with still about 20 minutes of play. But once you start going to 30 minutes, 35 minutes, like those areas, those are like those type of minutes are for people that you're going to get offensive production from too.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like if he's going to play those kind of minutes, we need 15 points.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. And it's just he can't give it to you. He can't. And I'm not even trying to be an asshole when I say that. He's just not an offensively like sound player or even just like a decent offensive player. Hitting open shots, looking at the rim, trying to get that open shot. A lot of times he's looking to pass it off or picks his dribble up, right? And when you're going against teams that got 5 guys that can score, it really puts pressure on our other guys that they have to be like they had to go there and get 30, 35 just to keep that game in distance.
Yep.
And like for example, he played against the Indiana game, 30 minutes, 5 points.
Yeah.
Right? 30 minutes, 5 points. And I know his value in deflections and causing disruption on Indiana, causing a lot of diversions that that's stuff you can't measure, right? Yeah. But Kobe got to go get 25 points.
Right, to make up.
To make up for that difference of that 30 minutes that you got.
Right.
Right. And then that's what I'll be talking about. Like, and Goran Dragic hasn't really given us a lot this season either.
Yeah.
Not to the level we expect. So off to the next second half of the season. When we look at that second half of the season, when they come back from the break, they'll be playing the Nets. Right? And then after the Nets, they got the Wizards. Then they got the Raptors. Right? And then they got the Pistons. So, hopefully the second half of the season is a little bit better than that first half because that first half was a nightmare. Yeah. Especially January 1. That was pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But now we're going into All-Star Weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to All-Star Weekend and festivities are going on. DeMar DeRozan has been voted an All-Star. Unfortunately, Zach didn't make it.
Yeah.
But, I don't think DeMar's not going to play, but still an All-Star reserve. So, big ups to him. Speaking of All-Star Weekend, too, Ayo Dosunmu also got voted for the second straight year to the Rising Stars game.
Okay.
So that should be good for him as well. So shout out to Ayo.
Shout out to Ayo.
Yeah. So that's good.
Yes, sir.
But then we got the dunk contest and then we got the 3-point contest.
Right.
Typical events that we all expect to see. For the 3-point contest list, we got Tyrese Halliburton, right? He's having a stellar season. He's an all-star this season as well. Then we got Tyler Hero. So Tyler Hero is an exceptional shooter. Then we got Buddy Hield in there, right? Then we got Kevin Huerter, who is very, very underrated. I mean, in terms of shooting and playmaking. He played so well for Atlanta. Atlanta certainly misses him. Now he's in Sacramento, and he's playing really well there. And Sacramento is a playoff team now.
Yeah.
So then we got Damian Lillard, Dame Dollar.
Yes, sir.
Then after Damian Lillard, we got Lauri Markkanen.
Okay.
You know, this is going to be a good contest for him. I think he's going to put on the show.
Probably will.
Then we got Julius Randle. Now Julius is replacing Anthony Simmons.
Oh wow.
You know, who's hurt.
Okay.
Portland Trail Blazers backcourt guard. And then we got Jason Tatum. To me personally, out of this contest, I'm probably going to go with Buddy Hield. I might go with Buddy Hield, yeah. Because that man can really shoot.
Yeah.
Yeah, he can really shoot, man. I mean, but I got Buddy Hield and I got Lauri Markkanen as finalists. That's what I got.
I'm going with Dame Dollar.
You going with Dame Dollar?
Dollar Dame.
You know what? I can't knock that.
That boy's a shooter.
Let me ask you a question. Is Dame more of a shooter or is he more of a scorer?
I don't know. Probably scorer.
More of a scorer. Because, you know, you can be a hybrid.
Yeah.
I think he's a hybrid, but I would say more of a scorer too.
Yeah. But I think he could be a really good set shooter though.
Yeah.
As well though.
Yeah. I mean, he's already etched his name in the NBA history on the 3-point contest. I mean, 3-point list. Yeah. I think he had like right around like top 5, top 6 maybe. And he's gonna keep climbing up that list.
And he shoots pretty far too. Like, he's on that Steph Curry range.
They might have added to the 3-point contest, like if you can hit, like I think they put like an extra ball
somewhere
in there. Yeah, I think I saw that before. So if they got that in there, he can certainly use that as a leverage in terms of winning the contest. So, you know, but Julius Randle was interesting. I mean, I never thought he was a good shooter.
He probably wants to get in there so he can prove his haters and his doubters.
His haters and his doubters.
Probably.
Shit, I guess I'm one of them.
Because remember Karl Anthony Towns did it last year and won, and he said that he wanted to prove his haters wrong.
But Karl Anthony Towns actually can shoot, though, even before that contest. Julius Randle just don't like a natural shooter to me. Yeah. He just he's a scorer.
Yeah.
You know, that's how I got him categorized. But let's see what happens, man. Guys get hot. Paul Pierce has won a 3-point contest before. Even though Paul Pierce is not a shooter, he's a scorer more. But, you know, it's one night. You never know what can happen. But then let's go to that dunk contest, right? Dunk contest, not a lot of people are pretty excited about this. People are already talking about what the dunk contest should have been. John Morant should have been, yada, yada. But I just feel like that's another talking point I want to bring up after we talk about this list. But we got Kenyon Martin Jr.
Shout out to Ken Martin.
Yeah, K. Martin Sr. Yeah, you know, that's what we grew up on.
Yep. Yeah,
so now his son is in the dunk contest, so I know he's going to be rooting. You know, hopefully he can, you know, carry on that legacy, right? Then we got Mac McClung. He's made a lot of, he's got a lot of attention from like his high school mixtapes and stuff like that. I remember seeing a lot of that.
Yeah.
And it went viral.
Yeah, he did.
And he's been bouncing around the league, but, you know, good for him staying in the league and trying to get his name out there. And this certainly can be the contest that his name can rank up a little bit higher, right?
Yeah.
Then we got Trey Murphy.
Okay.
You know, from the Pelicans.
Okay.
So we'll see how he can do.
So it's a bunch of guys that the world doesn't know about.
Yeah, you know, I mean, none of these guys are household names other than Kenyon Martin, but that's only because of his father. But ultimately, you know, this could be the kind of contest where, even though it looks not that appealing from face value, you just never know. I mean, these guys might be like, okay, no one knows who I am from a national level standpoint, or very, very few people do.
It's like a Fred Jones dunk contest.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it. Fred Jones. Remember he won in like 2004, right? So, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how this all turns itself out. I mean, most people are excited about the 3-point contest.
Yeah, it got some names in it.
Yeah, most people are excited about that. But let's talk about this dunk contest, right? And,
okay,
you know, it used to be a time where like the top players were in the dunk contest. Or if the top players weren't in the dunk contest, the guys like right beneath that.
Some top players.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The guys like right beneath that. Like they weren't the A-level household names, but they weren't these guys.
Right.
So that's not. I'm not trying to throw shade at all. I'm just saying.
This is how it is now.
Yeah.
This is how it is.
But I also feel like the league now, like these guys, these players, they're all like, oh, I don't want to get hurt.
Yeah, they're too cool, man.
They too cool.
Too cool, man. Too cool.
Oh my God, it's not even cool. It's not
cool
even cool.
Cool they want to be.
I don't know.
Like, give the people what they want, And it all started with LeBron, kind of. LeBron was deflecting it for years and years and never did it. And it's like, why? I'm too cool for it. That's the way, like, his vibe seemed like to be.
Yeah, but at least for him, he was actually competing for something.
Yeah,
right.
True.
So he can hang his hat and say, "Well, my team going deep in the playoffs."
True.
Right. It would have been nice to see him in there, but a lot of guys, they ain't even proved nothing yet, and they're like, "I decline." And for Zion, the guy can't never stay healthy. He always hurt. He would have been perfect for this dunk contest. Everybody would have been excited to see him in there. So it really, it's really tough to get these guys to play because they always hurt.
Yep.
Or they too cool.
They get paid too much money.
Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. The NBA players of today get paid way too much money. If they can just get a 200,000, 300,000, 400, 500, maybe even just $1 million, $2 million, $3 million, then we will get way better basketball. Don't you agree?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Way better basketball.
Yeah.
These guys will be fighting, showing their skills for real on the court, instead of trying to dress cool and take pictures before the game and post them on Instagram and try to be cool.
Too cool,
play the
man.
game, man. Just play the game.
Too cool.
We want to see quality content, entertainment. Kawhi Leonard every game. Zion. We want Lonzo Ball. Make the game worth watching.
Yeah. I've heard fans say, like, man, like these players don't even care about the fact that they just like really messing up the quality of the game.
Yeah.
They don't even care.
They don't. They get paid too much.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's rough. It's rough, but we'll still be watching. And checking to see like how that all turn itself out, and what to expect, So yeah, so it'll be fun, hopefully.
We'll
and then
see.
we got the All-Star game, right? So
Yep.
out of the All-Star game, pick a name. Who do you think is gonna come out with the All-Star game MVP? Off everybody that's gonna be playing, who do you got for All-Star game MVP?
Just jumping out at me right now. Of course, Giannis is gonna want to go crazy. Luka might see some Luka magic. We might see Kyrie go nuts, get fancy. Donovan Mitchell, he might go crazy. Ja might go crazy. Jason Tatum might be solid. Steph Curry might have a spark of threes. Jaylen Brown, you never know. And you never know.
My boy De'Aaron Fox made it.
Darren Fox.
Shout out to De'Aaron Fox. I remember seeing him at a game at Whitney Young.
Shai Gilgeous might go crazy. Dame might go crazy. I don't know. It's a lot of people, but if I had to put, I feel like Giannis is going to try to make it a mission. Giannis just seems like one of those players that just wants to compete. So I wouldn't be surprised if he just racks up a whole bunch of points by dunking the ball. I wouldn't be surprised if Luka, has some magic. I know Jason Tatum's going to be solid. Ja going to be Shai's going to be a surprise.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll probably give it to Giannis, though.
You give me Giannis. I'm going to go with Donovan Mitchell.
Okay. That's a good one.
The reason why is because he back in Utah again.
Wow.
He back in Utah again. And he doesn't shy away. He doesn't give you that energy where I'm too cool for the All-Star game.
He gonna play. He gonna hoop.
I think he gonna want to hoop. I think he gonna put up 25 or more.
50.
Yeah, I mean, he got the scoring ability.
It's All-Star game.
It's an All-Star game, yeah. So it's gonna be obviously high scoring game. I mean, hell, they do high scoring games every night in the NBA right now.
Yeah. Do you think these guys are actually gonna play, Or you think they're going to be like...
There's going to be a circus act at first. They're going to be shooting threes and, not really guarding each other.
And then when the game winds down, they're going to try to win.
Yeah.
And then they're probably playing for, like, the charities every quarter. I think they have that going on, so it might just spark up some more intensity within the quarters. But I agree, though. I think it's going to be a whole bunch of this, like, playing around, horse playing, open dunks, open threes. It's like having fun. And then when the game winds down, we're probably going to see, like, a little bit more defense.
Just a little bit more.
Just a little bit more.
Yeah. So he got my pick for All-Star Game League MVP.
Okay.
Let's see how it turns out.
Bro.
But back in Utah, 30th anniversary, I remember seeing video. Obviously, it was just little shorties when this all happened. But back in like 1993, when they had the All-Star Game in Utah then. So, it just feels like they always have these contracts out for when they bring stuff back, but it's just ironic that it's exactly 30 years from that time, that they had it from that point. But 2023 NBA All-Star Weekend, let's just see. I just hope it to be fun, man. Dunk contest. I want the dunk contest to be a little exciting. I'm not asking for too much because I don't know what to expect. Yeah. And then the 3-point contest, I feel like that's what's leading everything. But the All-Star game, I'll give it to Donovan Mitchell.
Hey, I heard some crazy stuff about Karl Malone.
Like?
I heard that when he was 20 years old, he got a 13-year-old girl pregnant.
Bro.
And then his son is in the NFL, but he doesn't claim the kid.
Oh. I heard a partial of that story before.
Yeah.
I heard a partial of that story. I heard about the part about the NFL son. I heard about that. But
yeah, the girl was 13, the mother of the football player.
That's crazy, bro.
And he was 20.
That's crazy. Well, he'll be a judge back in his hometown, for the dunk contest, if I'm not mistaken.
Really?
Yeah, he'll be a judge, so.
Sick world we live in.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, man. Anything else?
Well, like we talk about all the time, we talk about the NBA. We talk about the Chicago Bulls and all topics we're discussing. We hope the Chicago Bulls can pick it up. It is terrible how they're playing right now. And
we should have got a new coach. We should have got rid of Zach LaVine, and we should have got rid of Alex Caruso.
That would have changed everything up with our team. But I don't know if we got rid of all of that.
All of that. In that order. We got some shooters and a new fiery head coach.
I just feel like everybody's to blame. Everybody's to blame. And it's funny because, like, if we traded all of that out just to still have the same problem.
I mean, at least we tried. Because we know where the outcome's going to be right now. It's going to be the same. Probably going to be worse.
Yeah, that's very possible. I mean, Zach has just proven that he shouldn't have gotten that money. Yeah. He shouldn't have gotten that money. He has no leadership bone in him. He hasn't been taught how to be a leader. But that's why I say it's very imperative for a guy like him who is very like a daisy a little bit. He knows he's extremely gifted, extremely talented. Mm-hmm. But a guy like him needs an assertive coach. You need a guy that his job could be easily on the line. Yep. Like, he can easily be fired. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I think it's very important that a guy like him, because he can really take a good coach can take a guy like Zach LaVine and elevate him to the next level, just off the fact of, making him focus more, because he don't focus, and he's not the only one, but I feel like the entire team. But so yeah, I do think we just really in dire need of a real coach at the helm. So
and then Chicago Bulls, we might as well get Russell Westbrook and see what he can do for us.
If we get rid of Russ, we gonna have to trade out Lonzo.
If we pick up Russ, we have to get rid of Lonzo.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, Lonzo.
We'd have to eventually because we got too many guards. Anyway.
Lonzo isn't playing.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, so we just bouncing ideas out here, y'all. We just trying to figure out what we can do to make this roster better. What the Bulls can do. Like, we all fans of this team, and we just really upset right now. Another news, though, too. Shout out to the GOAT. Michael Jordan's birthday, February 17th. The time this podcast is shot. So, All-Star Weekend, his birthday, they'll find a way to tie this all in. And I know on another note, they'll probably have like a segment for LeBron passing the all-time scoring record, at All-Star Weekend, I believe.
Another one. 3. Lucky number 3. LeBron, blah, blah, blah. We heard it all before, LeBron. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, but you got anything else you want to add for this episode?
Man, everybody just tune in next week, man. See what we gonna talk about.
All right.
Catch us on everything that we post: TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, all that good stuff.
All right, y'all take it easy. Y'all have a good night.
Yes, sir. Yep. Blah 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 blah. LeBron.